Okay, we're live. Hello, welcome, Ryan.
Hey, mate. How are you?
Very well, thank you. We've got something a little different here today. Thank you for bringing in the beers.
Yeah, no problems. I thought, keep it casual and why not?
First ever podcast with beers, so cheers.
Good. Crack it open.
Very good.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Yeah, once 75 hard's over, it's a bit of a slippery slope.
Yeah, look, it's still low carb, so,
Oh, okay.
it's healthy.
We're all good then. So we were talking the other week about potentially starting a podcast of your own.
Yeah, it's on the Notes app and a bit of a brainstorm going on.
Yeah. You wanna dig into that a little bit?
Yeah, man.
Just for some enhanced accountability.
Yeah, thanks. I'm really feeling the heat coming already.
It is hot in here.
It is.
It's a good thing we've got beers.
Yeah, thank you. So work in progress, but loosely, sort of the theme or the title, the working title is the Voyage podcast. So a bit of a play on sort of our company name, but more taking it sort of a bit of a personal step. So when I started Voyage Digital Studio, the whole sort of naming came from me being on a journey. Like I had, started out by myself, had no idea what I was doing, and it was all just like, let's just sort of set sail and see where we land. So kind of want to find, and I guess throughout my journey, I've found talking with people has been super enlightening, and it's kind of how I've learned and developed skills to take the business to where it is. Learning from people's ups and downs, the wins, the losses. So it's been a matter of, cool, how do I take those conversations that I'm having or have had with people, but actually, make it sort of publicly accessible that other people might find it of interest. So yeah, that's sort of the plan is the Voyage podcast and just having some good deep yarns with people and finding out what's worked, what hasn't worked, and get under the skin of the kind of success stories is that we're always sort of highlighted with, but it's never an easy way to get there. It's pretty rocky. So yeah.
Before we get into the episode, I just want to say a big thank you to Tom Hardy for supporting this episode.
Thanks, Dave. I absolutely love what you're doing, and thank you for having me be a part of it.
Tell us a bit about this new sign.
Mate, it's all about the people. I've loved making the move and getting great results for our clients.
Wicked. Let's get into it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I love the name, love the whole value of a conversation. It's amazing how even if you're not intending to solve a problem, a conversation can often have that effect.
Massively, yeah.
It can often solve those problems that you're trying to work through.
Oh, it's I think so much value comes from just talking. Having conversations with people and just you pick up on little things, and that's sometimes all it takes, right? You just hear one little thing and sparks an idea and away you go. So
yeah, what I really love is when you've got an issue or you've got a problem that you're trying to work through and you've got no idea what words to use, and you're just like, I'm just going to pick up the phone or book the meeting and just be like, look, let's just try and figure this out.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I think just by exhibiting that intent, it seems to put the other person at ease. And, not always the case. Yeah. But sometimes and often in my experience, it's really a great starting point.
Yeah, I mean, funny, like we, in sort of programming development, there's a bit of a technique. It's called the rubber duck. And it's literally the thought of talking to an inanimate object, or a rubber duck in this example, and just talking through your problems. And more often than not, you'll solve your own issue because you've just actually started verbalizing, and you go step by step. Here's all the process I'm taking. Oh, look at that. There's the issue. And you fix it.
Wow. The rubber duck.
Yeah.
I like that.
And I watch the team all the time. They'll quite often, they'll bounce off each other, actually have that conversation with another person. But I think it's just, having that person there sit, talk through the issue, and you light bulb,
nice.
And you've solved it, versus you sit there and try and do it internally, all by yourself, and you just, so.
Yeah, it can be a crazy place, the human mind, can't it?
Exactly.
a lot of reverberation, and I guess journaling and writing stuff down can also help. At least I've found that personally the case. Either starting with an idea and then just, oh man, some of my journals, like if someone wants to read them, they'd just be like, this guy's got some issues. But I find that just by, like a brain dump onto the page, that really helps as well.
A massive thank you to Casbolt's Motorcycles here at 6 Gasson Street for sponsoring the episode of the 10 Million in 10 Years podcast, authorized dealer of Honda and Ducati motorcycles.
When do you find like your best time for journaling is?
Usually in the morning, or if I've got a problem.
Yeah.
Either one of those times. But I think any time's good. I find that if you can start with, say, like what you're grateful for, I find that's like a really good starting point. Because regardless of what mood you're in, or how your day's been, or how your sleep was, if you start with the grateful considerations, I find that just stems into a more positive, upbeat tone.
Yeah, definitely.
Either that or goals, just writing down your goals, and it sort of tends to manifest on the page. Again, no expert here, but it just seems to work.
Works for you. That's
totally.
good.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess the great thing about that is like the cost of a notebook and some time.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need like expensive therapy sessions.
Yeah.
The notebook can be your friend.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Or the rubber duck.
Yeah. I always find the best time for me is like travel.
Yeah.
Sitting on a plane.
Totally. Yeah.
It's quiet. There's nobody buzzing you on the phone, and it's like an hour or however long, like if you're doing a long haul, right? Just uninterrupted and just let the thoughts go wild.
Yeah. There's something about that too, right? Being in the air. I don't know what it is. I'm sure there's some science around it.
Yeah, probably.
But I found the same thing heading over to Brisbane recently. Like it was just after takeoff, and I was like reflecting on the previous like couple of days leading up to the trip. It was quite hectic because I'd recalibrated my schedule to condense everything into those 2 days leading up to it. And I was just like, wow, that was pretty wild, but I got through it and it was really good actually. So the light bulb moment for me was like, far out, my capacity is way bigger than I thought it was, like massively bigger, like 3x bigger.
Yeah.
And I was like looking out the window, just thinking like, oh, this is good.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah. I think there's like something quite fulfilling about that too, right? It's like, I don't know. You kind of a little bit untouchable in that moment. So you can just let your thoughts go and, feel quite empowered.
Yeah. Maybe just book some random flights around.
Why not?
maybe that's effective, right?
Yeah. I mean, safe to say I don't really get much time I don't really journal outside of doing, when I do that. I definitely write notes down all the time, but not solid sort of thought of journaling.
Yeah.
It's only when I travel.
Yeah. Do you find any particular tech platform has been really helpful productivity-wise?
When it comes to like the journaling side, I just use Apple Notes. Honestly, and I just keep going. Like I refer to it all the time. I always go back and it's like stuff from 2021, or it's like it's so easy. It's all indexed. It's categorized. So that's really good. We do a lot though in-house. We use a tool called Notion.
Oh yeah.
I think you've talked about it on LinkedIn recently, actually. Yeah, really good. Again, just from an indexing like point of view, we have it all tagged and managed in that. So good from a team perspective having it in there. But personally, it's all just keep it simple. Apple Notes. And
yeah, totally.
Don't need to complicate it.
Nah, I've been using them for years too. I've been not every day, most days, probably 95% of the days, I just have like a sort of a note on there.
Yep.
And it's pretty crazy being able to look back to like, as you say, 2021, 2022.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm just curious, like, I wonder what was happening this day, like, 2-3 years ago. And it's a good moment to reflect. Like, sometimes think that you're not making progress, but then you look back on 3 years ago and it's like, holy shit, it's like another lifetime ago.
Yeah, it's quite cool. Like I always try and do a yearly reflection. So it's always nice to like, each time you do that, just go back and see. And it's like both from a business and a sort of personal growth and, how did we do? And just the year's thoughts, just distill it all down. And it's always quite nice just to keep going back and reading that. And even I'll just refer to that throughout the year as well, of like that nice reminder of, okay, cool, we're moving forward, or, you know, I said we were going to do this. Have we done it yet? So yeah, I think just being able to constantly remind yourself is great.
Totally. Yeah. I think this podcast is kind of another version of that. Like I've been lucky enough to have a few guests back for a second go around.
Yeah.
And I really like that idea of doing a 12-month anniversary episode.
Yeah, it's quite cool.
Both to sort of reflect back on the first one, see what predictions were made, if any.
Yeah.
Just to have those two side by side, you know, it's pretty interesting, right?
Yeah, nice like little comparison of, you know, you said you were going to, you know, you're going to hold me accountable. Have I, you know, in a year's time, have I done my bloody podcast?
Have you done the podcast? Yeah, and even if you're not thinking about it on a day-to-day basis, leading up to that next podcast, you'll be like, Jesus.
Yeah, yeah.
Have I?
Pressure's on.
Pressure is on. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about yourself from a consumption standpoint? Do you listen to many?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any one favorite or multiple? Or?
The 10 million in 10 years is quite a good one.
Cool. Yeah. Nice.
I quite enjoy that one. Yeah, no, it does actually get a bit
Do
of
you
airtime.
Actually, or are you saying that?
No, I give it a bit of airtime.
You got a favorite episode? Or?
I don't actually. There's been quite a few that I've enjoyed. It's been good. Just nice to hear, again, like I really enjoy just hearing other people's journeys and their stories. So it's quite nice and refreshing just listening to some of that. And
I guess being a podcast based largely on local Christchurch based people is kind of cool, right?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think off the back of it, some of the other stuff that you've been doing with the lunches and that kind of stuff, it's just been, you kind of hear the podcast and you go and see the people and you've had a couple of guests that I've actually, reached out to just because it's like, I listened to it. It was really good. I'd love to catch up and hear about your story a bit more.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I think there's some really value in having that local based stuff. It's good.
Yeah, it was actually one of the I haven't really proclaimed this to anyone actually, but it was on the flight as well. Was like my mission. I was just like, why am I doing all this? Like the podcast and the 10 million 10 years journey, and like I think ultimately one of the big drivers is just to try and like chip away at this whole tall poppy thing. I really don't like it, and like having lived overseas in Canada, it's like the opposite of the culture there, right?
Yeah,
it's maybe not quite as intense as America, but it's not far off. Like success is really encouraged.
Yeah,
and I really don't resonate with that part of the New Zealand culture.
Yeah,
and so I figure if I can make a small impact, then that's part of who I am.
Yeah, cool. I love it.
So yeah, that's maybe a thing to put on the website at some point.
There you go.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's how you do create change. It's just one step at a time, one conversation at a time.
Yeah, like 1% growth every day, and it's compounding, right? Over time. So
yeah, absolutely.
You got to start somewhere and start making some change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other ones do you listen to?
What else? I listen to a lot of tech ones. They go pretty deep into web development and some of that sort of stuff. Rubber ducks and whatnot. Yeah, exactly. It's ones in the sort of AI space and that as well, and just generalized business ones. Guy Raz, I can't remember what it's called right now. How I built this. How I built this. Yeah, really good. Again, just that kind of journey side of things. So yeah, I love trying to just take what I can and I just consume a lot just to learn. I love talking to people. Just I find information is the key, just to keep learning, and obviously, but that's how I've kind of always developed and grown, both personally and the business. So yeah, there's quite different styles in there. Like if you consider Guy Raz to say someone like Joe Rogan, like his methodology, guys, is like just so precise. Like he's so good at interviewing, asking questions. Whereas, by contrast, Joe Rogan's just like, what do you mean by that? I don't understand that, which I really love. I like both of those different styles. Yeah. I'm probably not, I do enjoy the odd Joe Rogan podcast. I find them a little bit too long at times. I think the long format, I'd rather just jump into an audiobook if I'm wanting to consume something that long. But I think he's got some good, he obviously interviews a lot of great people, and he does have some quite deep sort of thinking conversations, which is always interesting to, distill into. But yeah, probably more on the Guy Raz side is where I tend to lean more towards.
Yeah. So do you think yours will be more conversational or more interview style?
Probably more conversational, to be honest. I think, just kind of, it follows the sort of thought as well of the voyage, right? It just see where it goes, see where the conversation takes you.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's merit in both, but I definitely prefer the conversation. Like whenever I've tried to pre-plan this, I wouldn't say it's ended badly, but it just hasn't flowed as well as I would have liked.
Yeah.
And I really don't like getting into that pattern of asking questions and then, like the follow-up question may or may not even relate to the answer.
Yeah.
And so then it starts feeling a bit disjointed.
You've got this real script, but it's just like this. After question 1, it's completely blown out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny at the beginning, like I had guests where like I just felt like it was taking so much brain power, right? Like I was focusing so intently on what they were answering, but now it just feels a bit more natural.
Yeah, it's good.
So like in those earlier episodes, like when the guests first started coming in, about episode 30-ish, there was a couple I remember intently where, highly intelligent people, and I'm just like, how do I not sound totally dumb here, right?
Yeah.
How do I try and articulate?
And I think you still got to do your research, right? And so it's your conversation with a guest isn't completely, they're in tech and you're talking about automotive or whatever, you got to be on the same page and
totally.
But I think, having just free flowing conversations, are much nicer.
Yeah, totally.
Organic listening experience as well.
Yeah, totally. What's next business wise for you? What's in the horizon other than the podcast?
Yeah, I mean, we're just kind of continuing trying to grow the business. So I brought in a general manager start of the year, Shannon. So trying to offload a little bit more to him and, get him sort of really managing the day-to-day, which is happening. At the moment, we tag team on quite a bit, but he's definitely taken on a little more. So, just kind of keep the business going and keep that humming, and then sort of try to look at a couple of just other side projects off the back of that. So looking at trying to build a couple of our own tools and sort of SaaS products. So spin those off into some companies and little ventures and see how we go.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How do you reckon you'll balance that with the time and energy? How, your primary business, how do you reckon you're going to do that? Do you think that having the general manager will allow you to be a little bit more creative and to go off on a side project or two?
Yeah, definitely. Like I would say probably at the moment, 20% of my time is maybe focused on that anyway at the moment. So, will just kind of increase over time as I sort of take more load off. And it's not something that I'm trying to rush through because I don't, the whole thing, sort of with our growth over the last 10 years as well has just been gradual. We've not tried to just really smash it with, let's get heaps of clients in the door and, just grow 10x and, that's not me. So, I want to make sure that I'm not taking my finger off the pulse and just kind of, dropping the ball and things take a nosedive, which I, 100% have faith that won't. Yeah. Putting it in Shan's hands. But, I think it's just one of those ones I'll just sort of keep across and just over time, sort of not wind things up, but, just wind my effort down a little bit more, put it into another area.
Yeah, nice.
Spin that up and then, my long-term vision and plan is, get those sort of products getting to a point where they could, potentially generate some revenue and get somebody in there to actually run it and, going down the sort of venture studio model where, bring in a co-founder to then take on a sort of majority share or a share of that product and go for it.
Amazing. I love it.
So,
That's cool. Have you done that in the past or?
Yeah, so I've done a couple of startups in the past, and sort of done a little bit of equity for both time and equity and money for sort of our development or my development, some time and skill on a project. So I've done that with two startups, both that they got off the ground and made a little bit of money, but didn't sort of progress too much beyond there. But never lost money either, so that's a win.
Yeah, right. yeah. Not to like go too deep here, but why do you reckon there was a common denominator with those two? Was there was it just a timing thing, or was it a market thing, or?
Definitely a couple of things I'd say there. Both were marketplaces, so they're two-sided. They need buyer and seller. Very hard to make work when you're trying to bootstrap. So you've got to market to both and have both parties, and it's just expensive and
in sort of equal quantities too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
very tough in that side. So yeah, I wouldn't go down that path again.
No. So it was a learn versus a win, maybe.
Definitely. Yeah. So yeah, I mean the space that we're looking at playing in is more in the commercial space and building products that are B2B more than anything.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely probably one of the learnings there, and just in terms of market. But then I think the other probably reason for two was just, I think founders, myself included, we couldn't focus that energy to really, make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you've got to go almost 100% on it, and I think it potentially is the sort of, my thinking now with this new venture and things like that is, there will be 100% effort goes into it, whether it's me or might be across the team. We'll make it happen. But yeah, I think you do need 100%. You can't be given it half.
Totally. Yeah. It's an interesting one. Like the people that I come across that are perhaps a little bit earlier in the journey and they've got like nothing of substance yet, but yet they're talking about multiple different ideas or ventures or distractions essentially.
Yeah, massively.
And unless you're in a position that you can have internal resourcing to fuel these things, like you just got to do the one thing. And I get it. Like I love the entrepreneurial spirit. Like I've always had that. But it's interesting from my own perspective, having like focused on one thing for the last year and how much, way more faster results you can get just through focus.
And just not biting off more than you can chew, right?
100%.
It's like, just do the thing that needs to be done right here and then get that moving.
Yeah.
And then add on a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think as soon as you go too broad and go like, cool, we're going to do X, Y, Z plus A, B, and C. It's like, wow.
Yeah. Maybe
what?
GH and Y in there too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Like, where are we going here?
Yeah.
You've just completely lost sight of what does this product even do?
Yeah.
How do you even market it?
Yeah, I think you can really tell based on talking to someone like how focused they are and like where they're at in this whole journey.
Yeah, definitely.
Or voyage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Voyage, that's a great name. How did you come up with that? Do you remember?
No, it's probably a bit of, I don't know, just stargazing or something going on. Who knows? It was, I couldn't even tell you. I mean, I started, about 10 years ago now, pretty much to the day. I sort of went out on my own and was just working under my own sort of name, subcontracting. And then I was actually tutoring for a bit. And one of the students was, he was epic. And I was like, hey, do you want a job off the back of this? So he came on board. Andrew, he's still with us to the day. So,
oh wow, really?
Yeah,
interesting.
Coming up 10 years, so pretty cool. And then I was kind of just like, again, where am I going? What are we doing? We're on a bit of a voyage. That sounds good. We'll go with that.
Amazing. Wow.
So,
and was that here or in Wellington?
Yeah, here in Christchurch.
Here in Christchurch.
So,
What was the Wellington connection?
So I studied and worked in Wellington.
Gotcha.
And then was there for I don't know, a fair few years, and then moved down here.
Yeah.
just after the earthquakes, and I sort of saw the opportunity in Christchurch. There was bound to be stuff happening right post earthquake with the rebuild. Whether directly with tech or not, and let's get down there and have a bit of fun.
Yeah, nice. And what's been the biggest challenge over those last 10 years? Is there something that stands out?
Yeah, good question. I don't know. What's the challenge? I think just scaling is hard, or just managing a business, or doing it by yourself.
Yeah, there's a lot of different hats.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I probably one of the biggest things was so we ended up with I think at our busiest time we've had about 25 staff. And I'm just winging it this whole time. I'm doing payroll and I'm doing HR and the hiring and all that kind of stuff. And we ended up with a team in Wellington. We had 5 people in Wellington. I think there's 5 in Wellington. So we put, set up an office up there and went full noise. The biggest thing, I guess the biggest challenge that I ended up finding was that you have 2 completely different cultures running. You've got the team here in Christchurch, plus we had a couple other remote devs as well. And then this other office in Wellington, and they were sort of working on projects that some of the team were working on in Christchurch and vice versa. And, I was actually up there, sort of the light bulb or the moment that really struck me was, I was up there one day and it was like somebody's birthday down here, or like, oh, let's, video call, and just sort of sitting there and they're all eating cake down here in the Christchurch office. And it was like, man, a couple of other guys up there, and it was like, well, this sucks.
This isn't good.
What are we doing? We're just sitting watching these guys eating cake. This isn't fun.
We need our own cake.
Yeah. So, I think just the challenges of running 2 offices, like remote, and just juggling all of that has been a challenge and like a learning. I mean, subsequently we sort of shuttered down the Wellington space, and we just have a couple of devs now still remote. New challenges. We've got 2 in London, so now we're dealing with time zones and things like that. So that's always a fun challenge. But I think culture, I'm always been big on culture, like trying to build a workplace that is, people want to come to. Like that to me is the most important thing, getting people out of bed every day and feeling, empowered to do their best work.
Nice.
So, I think that is probably generally my biggest struggle, and to be honest, maybe even my biggest stress or like worry is like, it's not about the money or anything. It's just literally, how do I make people have a good time?
And everyone's so different too, right?
Yeah.
Like one thing that could appeal to somebody's the absolute opposite of the other person.
Exactly. Yeah. So, it's a fine line, but I mean, I think we're doing all right. Like we're a certified great place to work in New Zealand. We got that in December. We've been shortlisted as a best place to work in New Zealand. So
wow,
we'll find out about the finalists for that in a couple of weeks, I think. So
interesting.
Yeah.
What's the criteria for that?
It's a bit of a process. So for that one, well, for both of them actually, there's a sort of first culture survey that kind of gets sent out around the team. It's all anonymous and that, and it's just finding out if you're really meeting the mark or not, and getting it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So getting through that, and then there's so for the best place to work, we sort of got shortlisted off the back of that. We had good score, and then there's a sort of a fairly comprehensive survey and questionnaire that goes back out to sort of business owner, to myself, to outline what we're doing and sort of our initiatives and that kind of stuff. And that goes to the judging panel off the back of that. So
Yeah, right.
yeah, a little bit of a process.
And is it just for tech companies or is it everyone?
No, so
No.
it's the best place to work. Well, for both of them actually. It's across the board.
Yeah.
Company.
Yeah, right. Interesting.
So, some good competition in there.
Yeah.
In terms of the New Zealand one. So, a bunch of different tech companies, but I think there's the likes of Nestle and things like that. You got some big sort of global companies in there as well. So,
is there different categories, I guess, based on size?
Yeah, they're kind of all just based on size. So, at the moment, we're fitting into the micro category, so under 20 staff.
Right.
So,
Interesting.
We're not quite up against the big dogs. Like
No. Yeah, slightly different resourcing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing how people see that as well. Like, I guess you or the business post about it on LinkedIn? Maybe both? Probably both. Probably both.
Probably both.
Yeah, I had a few people comment on that, just how, that's, I guess, like, aspirational from a business owner's perspective, plus from a recruitment perspective, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and even recruitment, but also I think doing business with other people. They see it and go, "Oh, look, you actually care about your staff, you treat them well," and the amount of time. So we work like a 9-day fortnight, and the amount of times we'll jump on a call with clients and like, "Oh, you guys got Friday off, wicked, have a great day." Like they just get pumped up about
they love
it
it
as well. Yeah,
right.
So you end up having these advocates. It almost becomes a bit of a sales tool in some regards. Not that we try to like use it as a sales tool, but yeah, it is really cool to kind of share how we're doing and get other people pumped up on it. And definitely I think from the recruitment side it's great as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's an often overly used cliche, right, about people being the biggest asset or the biggest liability.
100% are. Yeah.
But if you think about it in terms of, say, like the highest performing person you've ever had versus the lowest, like what a disparity, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like night and day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Massively.
And I guess like at the end of the day, you really want people, as you say, like you want them to be in a good mood. You want them to enjoy coming to work, and therefore performance will increase.
Yeah, exactly. We want a team of A players, and
100%.
It's trying to build the engine and the machine around it to generate those, and do whatever we can to foster that sort of thinking and those kind of people to keep coming and working with us.
Yeah.
And a lot of our staff are really, long term, like 10 years for Andrew's the longest, and then 5, 6, 7 years for a couple of the others as well. So
yeah,
I don't know. Hopefully I'm doing something all right.
You must be, yeah. Do you think that alignment's an important word? Like, do you find that it's about finding the people that are aligned with your brand, your vision, your values?
Definitely, yeah.
Like, and I mean, obviously that sounds ridiculous after those words come out of my mouth. But what I mean was, like, it's really easy to have at a surface level an attractive place to work and culture and potential awards, but yet that's not going to be for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. I think, I don't know, I've probably been, I mean, you're definitely picky when you're hiring people, right? But I've been pretty close to the hiring process, and to be honest, my hiring process is a little bit loose at times, to the fact that I think I've hired about 3 people over beers, and of which 2 of them have had no experience at all, kind of thing, but they've been some of the longest running staff that I've had. So I think it is, we sort of talked about the lunch type, the lunch vibe check, right?
Yeah.
With clients and stuff, but it's the same with staff, right? Like, we don't want to just go off and hire, but like, great, you've got a good CV. What do you actually like as a person? And then do you resonate, and not even just, I mean, I guess it's with me that helps, right? Because I'm perhaps the benchmark, but it's also, we get all the team in to kind of be part of that hiring process and see how the fit is with everybody. Because again, right, we've got to have that engine of everybody being on the bus to really make sure we have all the A players.
How do you deal with, say, like values? Like, do you have them on the wall? Do you have them talked about?
We do have them on the wall.
I'm curious. I'm fascinated by these like the things, like the ingredients that lead to this, right?
Yeah. No, yeah, we've got the values on the wall, and we try and we definitely talk to them quite a lot. And what I read or like listen to recently on a podcast, it was like something about just keep on instilling those, and you sound like you're just harping on, and but it makes a difference. So we probably maybe don't speak about it enough at times, I think, but it is really important. And especially when it comes to conversation, some of the tougher conversations, right? Like, cool, one of our values is all aboard.
All aboard, really?
Yeah. It's
cool.
like, are you actually all aboard?
Right.
All aboard on this journey with us, and it's a pretty easy conversation to have, like,
yeah,
come on, we need, like, we're all in this together, like, let's go get on with it. And
yeah. Have you
join us.
had many uncomfortable conversations over the years with people that aren't on board? They or maybe they were on board, but they.
Yeah, it definitely has happened for sure. Yep.
That's pretty hard, right?
Yeah.
Can be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know too much. Like, I mean, yeah, it's always a bit of a personal thing too, in some regards, I think. Like, you definitely take it personally, and it's a little bit easier now, perhaps. Like, and even, maybe not so much like even just people being aboard, but when somebody leaves your company and you just kind of like, oh man, this sucks. Like, obviously we weren't doing our best job or whatever, but over time you kind of realize that it's just natural.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
you do become a little bit, immune to it, and
yeah.
it doesn't become as hard anymore.
No, I see that with friends. Like some things are seasonal. Like if you're growing at a different pace than say like previous friends, like it's fine. It's totally okay. It's just that we're not all heading in the same direction, and so I think from an employer standpoint, it's possibly natural as well.
Yeah,
like you're going to have those people that are aligned and that you're able to go on those longer term journeys, which is great. But also, it's not necessarily all the way.
No, and it's not a bad thing.
No,
like
that's it.
It's good to go get some like fresh perspective.
Totally.
And whether you come back or not, like maybe, but if not, it's all good too, because it's like, go. Especially, I think like young people as well, right? Like, I don't regret what I have done, starting a business and then like just kind of going all in on it. But then at other times I go, oh man, I was 23 when I started this. Like, maybe I should have done like some other things, maybe I should have gone on an OE or like, gone and worked for some tech startups or whatever. So I think it's best to go do those things, go try.
Totally. Yeah. Give yourself the, feeling that you didn't leave anything on the table.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. 100%.
And I think that's what we're all trying to search for, is that feeling that there is no unsaid things or undone things. Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
The last conversation I had was just around that, about getting to the end of life and being like, yeah, I didn't regret that. Like, I did everything I could. Or
100%.
You got those metaphorical big rocks in your tank, in your bucket.
Yeah.
And I had the rocks that matched my actions. Easier said than done, but
yeah. I think like one of the things, my wife, she used to be an insurance broker, and she always would say like, oh, so and so has just retired, and then a couple of years later you've heard that they've just like died, passed away or whatever, right? And it's like their whole focus in life was always just like, let's just work, and they stop, and it's like, oh, literally stopping, so it's just, I think, having, I don't know, just a bit more, don't feel like that is your single life's purpose. Just go on that voyage.
Well, that was the chat. It was like, not many people are on their deathbeds and like, I wish I had worked harder.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's ever going to say that, right?
No.
I don't think. I could be wrong, but I don't think.
No, I think you're going to be thinking about all the things that you should have done.
Totally,
Right?
totally. Yeah. And I guess the more conversations like these, the more it will hopefully come to the surface that maybe you should be taking some different actions.
Yeah, totally.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I think for me personally, like, you know, I want to start trying to spend a bit more time, you know, as much as I want to do these other ventures and things like that as well, but it's also like a juggling act with family, and, you know, how do I spend more time with them and feel like I'm not missing out on their time, because that's, you know, limited as well. So yeah, it's a juggling act, right? Of how do you do these things, but I
Totally.
think you have to. You
Yeah.
got to work it out.
Yeah. How do you do that on a practical week-to-week basis? Like you mentioned the 9-day fortnight as one
Yeah.
thing.
Yep. So I mean, yeah, try and, you know, obviously for myself plus for the team, right? Just actually give them a bit of time back to go spend with family and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, having that, and then, you know, we work pretty flexible hours. So, you know, yesterday I worked from home for the morning and just hung out with my daughter, and yeah, you know, rolled into work a bit later, 10, 11 o'clock or whatever it might have been, and then picked up, you know, and got into it. And so, yeah, I think being flexible in that working arrangement's good. Remote working also is awesome, especially for us, right, in tech. So,
Yeah.
you know, we're sort of thinking about, right, cool, how do we go and do a bit of travel, and, you know, I can still work remote, but also spend the days with the kids or whatever. So, yeah, just kind of looking at some options.
Yeah.
I think you've got to do it.
I guess it's applying that curiosity mindset, right? That experimentation mindset of like, you know, would this work? Would that work?
Yeah.
Should we try this? Like, and I guess not being afraid to make mistakes. And
I think that's it. Like, I mean, that's pretty much how I've run the business to date, right? It's like, try something. Does it work? Yep. No. Like, cool. We should stick with that. Or otherwise, yeah, let's pivot and try something new. You know, that's kind of how we ended up on the 9-day fortnight. We tried a few different things to get to there, and sort of where we landed, just, you know, through experimentation. So yeah, it's the best way to learn, because you don't know otherwise.
that's right. Yeah. How long have you been doing it for, the 9-day fortnight?
A couple of years now.
Yeah.
Before that, we're sort of doing, you know, we'd have like, we're calling it like mental health day, where anybody could just take a day off whenever they wanted, kind of thing, which was good. But you'd end up with people like just not taking it because it was like, oh, I don't need it. I'm feeling good today. So I think just that thought of mental health is like, oh, you know, we don't need it. So actually kind of now enforcing it on people has made that change.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Has there been any downside?
None.
No.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, yeah, like, and again, as I say, clients love it. You know, we're still responsive to clients. We're still, you know, we take a Friday off. So, like, let's be honest, most people are sort of winding down for the week anyway.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing too urgent that happens on a Friday.
No,
So,
that's right.
you know, it's a perfect day to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. So I guess channeling that same, yeah, I mean, hey, if it's a net positive, then it doesn't really matter about the granular, like how many hours of productivity, blah, 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 right? No.
As long as it, you know, you get, you know, positive impact from client, staff are happy, you know, we're still delivering everything that we do work-wise. So it's...
Yeah. What do you reckon could be the next iteration? What do you think could be something else that you could try?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, everyone goes on about the sort of 4-day work week and that kind of stuff, and I definitely know it works for some companies. I think for us, it's, I don't want to say it's a step too far, but, you know, we still do have, you know, things that we've got to, you know, meet and that kind of jazz. We still work like reduced hours and you know, flexibility and that kind of stuff in our hours. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's next in terms of other things that we can try. I think I like to think that we do pretty good already. You know, like we let people go, and, you know, we got one of the guys. He's about to head off to Brisbane actually, and go over there, support his partner with a show that he's going to go put on, and yeah, you know, he's just going to go work remote and kind of tinker away over there, and
yeah, cool.
You know, we don't care. It's good. Like,
yeah.
We put a lot of trust in people, I think. So as long as you got trust, we know that work will get done. And that's like with the team in London, you know, we know that the work's going to get done. I don't have to check it, what are they doing at midnight our time, it's like they're just doing work. I know it's going to get done. And I look in the morning and it's like, oh yeah, cool, there it is. It's done.
Nice.
So
yeah, it's an interesting thing you mentioned though about taking it too far, right?
Yeah,
because you look at companies that have, say, offered unlimited time off, or really gone full far the other way, right?
Yeah.
And the question is like, is there balance?
Yeah. Like, I know some companies that have done that, and I know it hasn't worked. Like, and I've heard that from staff, and it's, I think it looks good, and probably more often than not, that's what it is there to do, from a recruitment side. It's unlimited time off. But in practicality, there's so many rules around like when you can actually still take it or whatever. So I don't know. I think just being flexible and, it works.
Yeah, it's such an evolution, right? If you consider the old factory workers from back in the day,
definitely.
Right? Yeah. And you wonder what the next evolution will be, though. Not so much from a per workplace standpoint, but just from a environment standpoint, like with AI and whatnot coming in. It's hard to predict, right?
Yeah. All the scaremongers will be telling us that, none of us will have jobs anyway, so we'll all just be cruising around while AI doing that job for us.
Universal income.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, right.
It will be interesting, though. The thing that sort of cracks me up is how people predicted the lower, like skill set jobs or lower paid jobs would be replaced first, and yet it's some of the highest.
Yeah.
Like the lawyer, for example, who's potentially at jeopardy. Like that wouldn't have been predicted, would it?
Yeah, it's such an interesting one. We're doing a bit with implementing AI for clients and for projects and things like that. And I think the biggest thing is it will probably reduce companies' headcounts because they can do the task in third of the time or whatever. So they don't need 3 admin staff. They only need 1 that can help do all these AI prompts or whatever it needs to be. So I think there's that. But that just provides opportunity then for those people that have
100%.
been removed from that company. Will go and spin up your own and you can do it.
Do something else. Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be doom and gloom.
No. I mean, it's pretty cool how like this whole other categories just come about, right? Like AI consultants now.
Definitely.
That's a category.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. It's definitely will be an interesting one to see where it goes in the next couple of years. That will definitely be pretty pivotal. I don't know my own thoughts on it. It's like, I think, we'll just see a lot more of it, already, right? Like it's just exponentially growing and the new models that like large language models that are coming out. And this one just this week, Facebook just, brought their new one out and fully open source. Like the possibilities will just keep growing. But I think it'll also potentially reach a point where, sort of that bell curve, right? It will just kind of reach peak and we'll just sort of plateau for a wee bit and we'll see what happens.
Have you used the Notion AI much?
I have, yeah. Yeah, it's not bad. I probably end up more going into some of Claude or one of those other ones. If I'm using it for writing documents or something like that. But yeah, it's still good.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. I've started using it a bit more. So I fully want to be not ahead of it, but I want to be aware of the capabilities, right? And so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to subscribe to it. Yeah, make the commitment.
I think you've got to.
Yeah, right? I think so. Yeah, and I think like just by paying the money per month, it's a sense of commitment.
Yeah, you get left behind if you don't.
Yeah, and so like it's incredible what it's capable of.
Yeah.
Like some of and this will be an interesting one to look back on actually in a year's time, because we'll have a bit of a record here.
Yeah.
You know, July 2024, where things are at versus next year.
Yeah.
It could be wildly different.
I think it will, like, definitely. I think we'll see like a lot more, you know, notional bacon, the whole like AI image creation, all the, you know, be able to generate video just out of it, you know, as well, that kind of thing. So I think that'll be where there'll be a lot of advancements coming in, especially in that content creation side. And yeah, that'll get interesting. I think we'll reach a point where the models and the results that actually get returned will be a lot better. You know, we're seeing that already, right? But the actual, like the likes of Notion AI, you know, how much more can it really push in terms of writing content? You know, so I think it will start going down the other path of, cool, let's generate image, let's generate video, which is available now, right? But they'll tie it in and build it in, and then just being able to fully scan everything that's in your Notion workspace, right? And just keep building upon other documents that it's got knowledge of. Yeah,
it's cool when you put a prompt into ChatGPT, how it saves it as a memory, right?
Definitely.
And how it's like constantly getting better. And that's another one of my reasons for wanting to embrace it a bit more, is that I know that it will get better and better with the more I use it.
Yeah, it's good.
Even just for advanced searching, right? Like even in that last Brisbane trip, like, you know, hey, I like this restaurant here, what's similar in this area?
Yeah, cool.
We're staying here, what can you recommend? That's also open today.
Yeah.
And it spits out a result.
Yeah. I think that's, you know, the cool shit, you know, it's like, it's really personal to me, and that's where you're getting a lot of value out of. The likes of Perplexity, have you looked at that?
No.
So like a AI search engine.
Right.
Basically it's the same thing. You know,
right.
You build out, like full sort of itinerary and that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah, gotcha.
Common, you know, language like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'd hope that part of it's going to get a bit easier, like the whole voice integration.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're in the car and you're like looking for something, that's surely that'll be coming, right?
Yeah. The one that I'm hopeful for is, and I'm hoping somebody like, I think, you know, Microsoft Copilot will be an interesting one, and then, you know, Apple's integration that they're doing with their new OS. But, you know, being able to just watch everything that I'm kind of doing in my day and be that sort of PA or, you know, virtual assistant for me. So, you know, I get hundreds of emails and Slack messages and, you know, invites and whatever, and it's like a lot of noise.
I'm drowning here.
There's a lot of noise, and more often than not, I'll just go, mark as read, and hope for the best. But it'd be nice if I could get, you know, like, here's a prioritized list of like, here's everything that came through today or you know, yesterday. This is what you need to action.
100%.
You know, like, this thing needs reviewing. You know, you need to respond to this email, respond to this message, and that'd be awesome.
So good.
Just give me those 3 action points and I'll be happy.
Yeah. And even just fundamental, like, basics, you know, like scheduling stuff, right? Like, can you go back and check their calendar with my calendar?
Yeah.
Yeah,
cut down on that back and forth.
Totally. The Copilot looks like it's way more capable than it potentially is right now, like based on the demo videos.
I would imagine it. It'd be pretty powerful.
Bit overhyped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you could look back through historic information, you know, and consolidate that.
Yeah. I think it's just like that full integration into everything as well, right? Like, I just want it to be in Slack. I want it to be in GitHub for all my, you know, notifications I'm getting there from developers, and you know, all the tools that I'm in and the things that I need to be across every day. It's like, it's just, it does become overwhelming. You try and like mental model of like, go through this one. Have you looked at this today? But having that AI just to go like, hey, I know you're in this and this thing, and do this, and I've blocked out 30 minutes in your calendar for doing all of it.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Oh yeah, it's wild what could be possible, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if you think about the integration with, say, like wearable tech as well, right? Like, hey, I noticed your sleep wasn't very good last night. You may want to consider, you know, these action points.
Yeah. Yeah. Have a sleep in. I've moved your 9 a.m. meeting for you.
It is wild, right?
Yeah.
What's possible.
Yeah.
Or it could even determine like the value of X meeting, right?
Yeah.
And bump one thing but not the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be wicked.
It's wild if you think about what's possible in, say, 10 years' time.
Yeah.
I speaking of tech, more from a hardware side, tried the Vision Pro in Brisbane.
Oh yeah.
Have you tried it?
No.
Wow.
How was it?
Have you tried any VR or?
I have. Yeah.
Yeah. So like compared to Oculus, this thing is multiple steps ahead. It's incredibly clear. Plus like this 3D imagery, like it just makes you feel like you're there.
Yeah. Right.
Like the way that the iPhone 15 Pro, I think it is, can capture 3-dimensional video. So like you're looking through this like birthday candles, and it's like it's just mind blowing. It's really quite something.
Was it like did you get motion sickness or anything like that out of it? Like, did you feel a bit, like,
Emily did a little bit. She sort of felt a little bit uncomfortable, but
probably one of those ones you get used to.
I think so. Yeah. Just crazy good though. Like, I think that it'll probably still be a bit weird, like wearing the physical device. It's still a little bit heavy. It's not like it's wearing a pair of sunglasses. It's still quite heavy, but wild.
That'll definitely be a technology that'll just like, you know, keep improving, and as hardware can improve as well, right? We can get that size of those little things down.
Yeah.
That'll happen.
But if you think back to like the original iPhone,
exactly,
and this is the same equivalent, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and that was not that long ago, like what, 12, 13 years ago, I think, you know, iPhone came out. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So I think we're in for some wild rides in the next little bit.
Yeah. Technology's got a long way to go still.
Yeah. Have you got a favorite hardware or software that you use? Standout performer? Personal or business?
No, look, I mean, I'm big Apple fanboy, and like at work we're deep in that space as well. So I think, you know, any of their products are great.
Totally.
I also think Microsoft's doing some really good stuff too, right? Like, and their just broader ecosystem is pretty awesome. I'm 100% not a Teams fan. I'm not endorsing that by any means, but
you just killed our sponsorship deal there.
Oh, sorry, man.
But you didn't you recommend the book? The Microsoft?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I love the like Microsoft as a company. I think they've got some really cool stuff, and the CEO is, you know, pretty inspiring, and I think he's got a really good vision for the company. So I think they'll keep doing some really cool stuff, and you know, they're doing a lot in you know, software side of things as well. Like they've got VS Code that they've built and things like that, which, you know, code editor, fully open source, and you know, they've embraced quite a lot of that side of things. So they're quite, I guess, a leader, you know, which is really cool to see. Yeah,
it was funny, after you recommended that book, I downloaded it, started listening to it, and then I had the HubSpot integration didn't work in Outlook for whatever reason, and so I submitted a support ticket through Microsoft. Have you done that?
Nah.
Far out. Those guys are relentless. Like, they would not rest until they had satisfied me.
Yeah, good.
They were incredible.
Yeah.
I just could not believe the level of support that they offered from, I don't even know what I pay for Microsoft, like maybe $100 a year.
Yeah.
Like they burn through hours and hours, and
that's great.
It gave me an insight into their company, like their sort of culture, I guess, their processes.
Yeah.
And it was really quite unique. Like I'd never had that recently anyway.
Just do what they can to
just like, really you know,
make that customer experience.
Yeah. And here we are talking about it, you know. So like, why don't you like Teams though? Just don't.
Just a bit clunky. Don't know.
Just a bit clunky,
yeah. I've never had a good experience with it.
And
we use it like
a
lot for client meetings and stuff. Just don't have a great time with it.
It's sort of the same way I feel about Zoom. I don't really like.
Yeah, we were big Zoom people for a long time, and then we've just gone full Google Meets.
Yeah,
it's just simple. Why do we need to overdo it?
Totally.
Plus, why do we need to pay for an extra subscription when we're getting that for free already out of our
Yeah, I 100% agree.
So.
Do you use do you use a lot of Google stuff?
Yeah. So we got Google Workspace for all of our stuff. So
Right.
yeah, we're fully in that Google Sheets and Google Docs.
Deep in.
Yeah.
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 Do you use Data Studio?
I've used it a little bit. Haven't gone deep on it.
No.
It's something I'd like to spend a bit more time on. We use it, well, I have personally used a couple other sort of pretty techie ones.
Oh, yeah.
Grafana and the likes. So, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's funny. Everyone's got their own like preferences, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever reason.
Yeah, whatever works. And I think a lot of it actually comes down to integrations and how easy they are. So, yeah, it's always probably the deciding factor sometimes.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite Apple product of all time?
All time. Nah, I think, MacBook, you can't go. Like, that's just a solid workhorse, and they've just kept improving it, especially with the M chips, M1 and M2, M3 now. I think, it's so powerful.
So good.
That is me every day on that thing. So
yeah. Such a good investment when you look about it, right?
It is, yeah. A couple of few, 5, 6.
Couple of years.
7. But yeah, they pay themselves off for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I think I got to buy some new AirPods.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
The AirPods you can't go wrong with either, right?
They seem to be awesome, but they do only last for so long, right?
Yeah, and they just one just seems to disappear, right?
Exactly.
Turns up in the washing machine.
yeah. Or just stops working.
Yeah,
like they must just die after a certain amount. But
the old battery in it's pretty small, I think.
Yeah, bloody good. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to this podcast yours coming out.
Yeah, mate. What did I say? I think by the end of the year. Right?
End of the year. I feel that's like a little bit conservative, but
August pretty much. Come on,
Oh.
only a couple of months.
4 months sounds ample, but that's okay.
We've got lots of things on.
Maybe you just want to under promise, over deliver.
Yeah, that's pretty much me.
That's the strategy. You're just like chestnut checkers, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Hey, thanks so much for your time, Ryan.
All good.
Appreciate that. Thanks for the brewski. That was good.
Yeah.
The Parrot Dog. It's cool branding, right?
Low carb hazy.
Yeah. It's delicious.
Yeah.
Very good. We will link your stuff below for anyone that wants to take a look.
Cool.
Stay tuned on the podcast, and we'll see you back in a year's time for the recap.
Yeah, love it. I look forward to it.
Beautiful. Thank you
All right,
for
mate.
listening.
Cheers.
See ya.
Thank you.